Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca. What if we got Gilmore Girls star Chance Crawford to be Nightwing? Can you see that happening? This show discusses all the latest Marvel movies.
I think we know he's gonna bond the adamantium back to Wolverine, which might get him to be the Horseman of War.
And the latest DC Comics. He's pitched that he wants to be this universe's Dick Grayson.
That's terrible. Like, I could do a better job probably.
With takes on the latest Star Wars adaptations.
Do you care if people don't like it? And the director was like, no, I don't really care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't like the show. I don't care about the Star Wars universe. And all I want to say is, why are we hiring somebody who doesn't care about what they're making?
And much, much more.
I think this is my favorite Final Fantasy.
Okay, I like to hear that.
It's just so well done and so good.
And whatnot. That is actually the opening scene of 1999.
That is
like,
amazing.
come on, right? Like,
for a new sci-fi movie, I've seen a lot of bad movies recently, and this one is not bad by any means.
join us every Friday on Screen Chat for a fun time, beautiful day. So make sure you go out, enjoy your F&F Fridays. You already know the vibes. Some good laughs.
You were like, oh, you can't have Jensen Ackles because he's Soldier Boy, but you couldn't have Nightwing because he could be the Deep. Like, don't do this to me. Don't play this game.
And great hot takes all about pop culture. We have the one and only Sonic 06, the most underappreciated video game in human history. And I'll die on the hill. So we will see you guys then. Eldon, are you ready?
Justin, I think I'm ready. So, are you ready?
Oh, I'm definitely ready for this.
Okay.
Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca. I'm your host, Justin, and Screen Chat is your show discussing all the latest Marvel movies, DC Comics, Star Wars adaptations, and much, much more. Today, behind the scenes, we have Eldon, Carson, and Kent Teching. Thank you guys so much for being here. We also have Ryan in attendance from Moonstruck. Thank you as well for sticking around. And yeah, so today we have a fun episode in mind for y'all. I thought, you know what, let's do more of like a lighter discussion today on the recent conclusion of Dragon Ball Daima. That's why I'm rocking my Dragon Ball GT shirt here today. And wow, what an anime. I will start off by saying I was not a big fan of this idea. But Dragon Ball Daima, it has come, it has gone, and here we are. It looks a lot like OG Dragon Ball with a little bit of a modern twist on it. And there's a lot to unpack. I think today we're going to do like more or less like a general discussion on my thoughts on the show as it concludes. It only finished last week, so I don't want to do like an in-depth spoiler breaking down every episode. There's about 20 episodes in the series, but I do want to talk about a lot of things. Now, this is kind of like a sequel episode to a previous one that we did where I did discuss the idea of Dragon Ball Daima as well as the current state of the Dragon Ball universe. And I thought we were in a bad spot. I was like, it's 2024. We have all these animes that are going crazy, such as Bleach, Demon Slayer, even Fairy Tail getting into the mix. And at the end of the year, we get Dragon Ball Daima, and I was so against it. And now here we are, 2025. It has concluded. And here are my thoughts. Well, right off the bat, as you guys did kind of see there with with the kid Goku there, this show had all of the normal Z fighters and Z characters as kids. And it was very interesting to see because we see Goku and Vegeta there as well. Kid Goku, Kid Vegeta. And I don't know, wasn't really here for it. Like when this was announced, I was like, we already saw similar to this in Dragon Ball GT. And with the current state of Dragon Ball, with the Dragon Ball Super hiatus, I didn't think we needed this. This also was a show that we didn't know if it was canon, didn't know where it, I guess, presented itself in the current timeline, or at least the canon timeline, because that canon timeline is like all over the place these days. But we did have the kid Z fighters and kid characters there. And this kind of was a nod to GT, if you will, because in Dragon Ball GT we had, spoiler warning for Dragon Ball GT, it has been out since 1997, which I think, Eldon, 1997, that was like, what, 40 odd years ago now? So with that being said, if you want to watch Dragon Ball GT, I think you would have by now. So I'm going to go into a little bit of spoilers for that, but that show sees the past character of Emperor Pilaf essentially wish that Goku was a kid, and Goku is turned into a child again by Shenron. In this show, the new villain, who we'll get to in a bit, wishes that everyone on Earth just de-ages. So all the, I guess, like little kids become babies, as you see there with Krillin. And then all the older people, such as Master Roshi, just hit their adulthood again, who we see there on the right. We even see the Ox King on the left. I didn't even realize that. So yeah, we get to see some of the older characters as younger versions of themselves, and some of like the more adult characters as teenagers again. We have Hercule in the middle, which I thought was hilarious, seeing like a teenage version of Hercule. Even we see Majin Buu, what he would have looked like as a younger version of himself in the background there as well. So it's definitely an interesting take. I don't think we needed this at all. That was my whole takeaway back in the day, which we'll dive back into. But I wasn't really here for it, unfortunately. But like I mentioned, this timeline is all over the place. So I just thought, why not? Let's establish the current timeline of Dragon Ball Daima and where it falls in. So if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, you might remember the Majin Buu saga. And the Buu saga, whatever you want to call this. This was the concluding saga in Dragon Ball. And we know that Majin Buu was, at least again in the Dragon Ball canon, was the strongest character. So in the Buu saga, we see a lot of different characters, but the main one being obviously Majin Buu on the left, and then we see Babidi on the right. Now, this is really good to bring up because as we see here, it looks a little faded and dull, but that's because they're actually watching Buu on a screen. And those characters that we see there are going to be the main, I guess, antagonists of Dragon Ball Daima. But back to my point. So this takes place during the Buu saga at the very start, and then we learn later on, and this is all in the first like 5 minutes of episode 1, that King Dabura. Now, what's interesting about King Dabura is that he was obviously there in Dragon Ball Z with Majin Buu and with Babidi. I like King Dabura. I didn't realize that he was the king of the demon realm. It's also been like 10 plus years since I've watched this show. And in 2025, we're talking about King Dabura being one of the most important characters in an arc. And I'm going to elaborate on that now because, unfortunately, King Dabura died. Majin Buu turned him into a piece of chocolate here, or a graham cracker. And unfortunately, the king of the demon realm is done. He's over. And so this was really funny to me because watching this as a kid, you didn't realize that, oh, wow, King Dabura is now demised. But that kind of leads to the plot of the show because Dabura dying, I guess, opens up a new throne in the demon realm. Without further ado, obviously the rest of the Buu saga had to go on, and that's really important because Goku was able to defeat Majin Buu. And we know this because they do bring it up in Dragon Ball Daima here. This is like a modern take on the fight, and ultimately, if you've watched the show, you know that leads to Buu's, I guess, his demise with a Super Kamehameha, if you will, and then the Spirit Bomb, and the Spirit Bomb just destroys Buu. So, establishing the timeline, this takes place after the Buu saga, I guess during and after. And we know that today we have the new antagonist, which is King Goma. And he, I guess, infiltrates Earth and pulls up on Dende. And we know why he pulls up on Dende, because he wants to get the Dragon Balls to make a wish. And he just wishes that everyone on this planet just becomes a kid again. And then they're like, you know what? I'm the new king. This is King Goma. Dabura is defeated. I'm just going to take this Namekian. I was like, oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. And I thought it was cool because when you see, like, I guess, motives like that in modern anime, it is pretty funny. Like, this was the standard back in, like, the 80s and 90s. But, like, when you're used to watching, like, more serious takes on anime these days, it is funny. So we got King Goma here, and he's, like, the main antagonist. This leads us to, I guess, more people from the demon realm, including Glorio. Now, when Glorio was introduced, I was like, you know what? This guy is pretty cool. That's him on the right. That's Supreme Kai on the left, who I'll dabble into momentarily. But I think, Eldon, you could appreciate this. I was doing some research, and Glorio's character was actually heavily inspired by Han Solo, believe it or not. So Akira Toriyama did not know he was a fan of Star Wars like that to, I guess, make a whole character based off of Han Solo. But Glorio is the one that travels to Earth to get Goku and to take Supreme Kai back to the Demon Realm to ultimately defeat King Goma. So that's essentially like the plot points, and that's modern day Dragon Ball Daima, and that's really what the show is about. They're able to watch the same way King Goma was able to watch Goku, I guess, defeat Buu, was the same way that Glorio saw it as well. So he goes to Earth, he picks up Goku, and the show kind of just goes from there. Now, what is really interesting about this one as well is that it does a lot of like, I guess, retconning, if you will. Now, I'm a guy that grew up on Dragon Ball. I've watched Dragon Ball, I've watched Z, I've watched GT, I've seen most of Super, and I've never heard of this legendary Namekian named Neva. Now, who is Neva, will you ask? Well, I kind of tease him there. He's a legendary Namekian that, according to Piccolo, was a singular Namekian that left the planet and went to the demon realm to, I guess, live, conquer, I don't really know. But he's there, and he's able to go to Earth with King Goma and essentially like do this power that he's doing, and he gets all the Dragon Balls, and that leads to the wish, and he goes back with them to the demon realm. And it's really interesting because, again, I've never heard of this character before. He's not related to Piccolo in any way, but I guess he's always been there. So just wanted to do a quick discussion on the current establishment of the plot and the characters that we have. Now, we know a lot about Supreme Kai from Dragon Ball Z, and in this adaptation he gets his name retconned. So he was always Shin to me. I don't even remember what his name is in Daima because, again, like, this is my childhood. I'm not gonna like go back and do the retcons myself. So Supreme Kai is pretty interesting. He obviously knows the most about the demon realm because he's from there. Same with I guess Kabito, but he doesn't make it, unfortunately. He doesn't make the cut initially, at least. So what I find interesting about this show right off rip is that you get a show that takes place between the, I guess, second last and final episode of Dragon Ball Z. And you have another series, about that, because we know that canonically, well, I'm going to use that term loosely, this episode, because the Dragon Ball canon is all over the place. But canonically, me as a kid that grew up watching the show, the Dragon Ball finale takes place after Dragon Ball Super. So that's very like important to, I guess, note here that there's a whole series that happens between the second last and the last episode of Dragon Ball. Now, this show, I guess, takes place before Super and obviously before the final episode. So it's very interesting that they did this, and it retcons a lot of stuff along the way, which we will obviously get to. Now, another cool thing about this show is that it had a lot of fan service. Now, like I said from the top, I'm not going to go very deep into each episode. I'm not going to break them down. I'm just going to give you my general thoughts about this. Now, one of my biggest, I guess, pet peeves as a Dragon Ball fan growing up was the disdain that Toriyama had for Vegeta. You know, God rest Akira Toriyama, but he didn't really give Vegeta any love. And I think this was apparent in the Buu arc when Goku's able to go Super Saiyan 3, but Vegeta's not. Well, until Dragon Ball Daima. Vegeta eventually gets Super Saiyan 3, and this was something that us fans have wanted, I guess, for the past 25, 30 years. You know, we never saw it happen in official media. We saw it happen in various video games. I know that was always one of my favorite things to do, was to make Vegeta Super Saiyan 3, but we never got it. But this show finally gives us that. So at least there was something. Now, overall, my thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima, like, I'll dive into it in a bit because I do have a lot to say, but I don't want to spoil too much because, again, it did just come out. But that's pretty much what we have for overall just the timeline and what's going on. Goku is sent to the demon realm to essentially overthrow and defeat King Goma, and eventually along the way the rest of the Z fighters join him, such as Piccolo, and we see Bulma in there, which is pretty cool. And we get the aforementioned Vegeta Super Saiyan 3 that I didn't think we'd ever get. So just we're about at the midway point, so I thought, why not, let's do something funny. So to refresh your guys' memory, a while ago I did an episode that I mentioned earlier on the current state of Dragon Ball and how I didn't really want to see the show at all. I was like, this is stupid, we got a lot of other good things going on. Why is Dragon Ball getting this? And I was very much against the idea of Dragon Ball Daima. And I think now, after watching the series, breaking down what I thought, I guess, off camera, writing the notes, looking back at the episodes, I thought it'd be funny to look back at what I thought about Dragon Ball Daima when it got released. So we do have a little clip here, which I think is hilarious, about my initial thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima. So let's take a look at what I thought a few months ago when the show was announced, and then we'll come back and discuss it. We're moving on to the next Dragon Ball project. So I don't even want to talk about this, but we have to. That's the point of the episode.
Man, I'm just looking at your upcoming images. What is this?
So they did announce that Dragon Ball is coming back. Let's go. Dragon Ball Super Season 6. No. We're getting a new series that no one asked for called Dragon Ball Daima.
What am I looking at here? What is this?
I don't even know. This makes me so disappointed because we're getting Kid Goku back. Let's go, man. Let's go. No, said no one ever, man. Oh my days. Who wants this, man? I'm actually like, I haven't really ranted on this show for a bit, but this is horrible. This is horrible. Now, if I'm gonna be honest with you, if she told me Dragon Ball Daima is a retelling of a Dragon Ball story in this animation, I'm with that. Like, that's awesome. We always say about like Naruto and like Bleach, oh my god, imagine if they redid certain scenes in 2024. Yep, sign me up. Redo some Dragon Ball scenes, have Kid Goku on the right there fight King Piccolo, have like, I don't know, Tien versus Goku again from the martial arts tournament. Do anything, right? We could just go straight to the second image because it's not just Goku. It is everyone, bro. It is everyone.
What is
like,
happening?
Even Chi-Chi and Bulma are kids, bro. Like, what is this? I just don't even know. And like, who wants this? Who absolutely wants this? And you know what? Just go to the next one, please and thank you, because we have Kid Goku and Kid
What are we doing?
What is going on?
So
Yeah, so I think that clip is amazing to look back on. I think, a lot of people would probably call that clip farming. No, I know I'm not clip farming in that because I'm actually like hitting the table in anger. And that is something that I'm not allowed to do as a host. And Eldon always tells me that. So that was just genuine emotions. I was very upset that that's what we were getting. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, nobody wants this. Why are we getting it? And it's just stupid. Now, after watching the show, here's my like general thoughts on it before I dive into the next discussion. So without giving too many spoilers, I actually really enjoyed it. I will say I did kind of eat my words. I didn't realize that I needed something as wholehearted as Daima until I saw Daima. And I think that's really a big thing because I think me as an adult, like I'm 22, and there are very little things these days that I watch anymore. And I think to myself, damn, I feel like a little kid again. Like maybe when I'm watching wrestling from time to time, or maybe when I'm watching like a cool football clip, I think, damn, bro, I remember when I was a kid watching that. And I don't really think any anime has made me think that recently. And that's not like a bad thing. Like that's not me like saying, oh, anime's fallen off. I'm just saying that I haven't really got that feeling until I watched Dragon Ball Daima. And I think one thing that it did that I don't think any other adaptation of Dragon Ball would be able to do going forward was it made me feel like a little kid again. You know, this wasn't me at 22 watching this. This was me at like 8, 9, and 10 years old watching this on my dad's couch on Funimation or watching it on DVD with my brothers. This wasn't me like watching an anime and dissecting each episode for the plot. This was me like just waking up and loving the fight scenes that really make no sense and seeing all the power-ups and seeing the cool colors. That's what this show was. And I think that is really good and really bad. And here's why. Similar to what I said, I guess, in my clip, no one wanted this. No one really woke up and said, yo, I want to see Kid Goku again and make it a storyline that happens before Super. No one wants that. We want to see Dragon Ball Super Season 5, I think, whatever we're on now, because the show's been on hiatus for so long. So when you get this show, you don't really, like, at least me, I didn't really want to like it. I didn't want to be here for it. I thought it looked stupid. But it was really good. I want to give it a solid 7 out of 10 up until the final. Like, I would say Dragon Ball Daima episodes 1 to 17, solid 7 out of 10. But like 18 and 19 were some of my favorite episodes that they've ever done. Now, you might be wondering, Justin, why? Like, why do you like Dragon Ball Daima so much? Or why do you like episode, I guess, 18 and 19 so much? Well, that's going to bring us to our next clip. And this is one thing that I said about the idea of Dragon Ball Daima and what I wanted to see. And that's going to be coming up here. So let's take a look what I said, I guess, back in the day about this show. The next thing that I did want to discuss is Super Saiyan 4. Now,
Chills.
This has been a hot topic for a lot of Dragon Ball fans, whether how you rank this transformation in form. For me,
it's number 1.
It's the best form in all of Dragon Ball, if I'm to be honest. It's the most pure Saiyan form. And it just looks awesome and like
so good.
Oh man, just like, oh, it was so good. It was so good. Okay, the back end of GT. So as you see there, I really wanted to see Super Saiyan 4. That was like the one thing that I wanted. And Dragon Ball Daima delivered. It gave us Super Saiyan 4. And I think what's really cool is that when you see the callbacks to GT and you see how cool Dragon Ball GT really is, you then think to yourself, okay, if GT is this cool, how could Daima be just as cool? And when you see this old image of GT, you know, you see Kid Goku, you see Pan, you see Trunks, and I actually forget the robot because I think for me it was like Biru, but then for other adaptations it's different. So I'm gonna go with Biru because I think that's what it was. But it's like, how could Dragon Ball Daima top this? How could it get on this level? And I think it kind of did. I'm not gonna say that it was better. I'm not gonna say that it was clear of Dragon Ball GT, but it did something that only GT's been able to give us, and that was Super Saiyan 4. Now, we saw this in 2 different adaptations, so which was pretty cool, by the way. I just need to point that out. The fact that in one series we saw 2 adaptations of Super Saiyan 4 was insane. So we were able to see Kid Goku take Super Saiyan 4. I know a lot of people say SSJ. That's like a, I guess, nod to the OGs. I still call it that. But the fact that we were able to see Super Saiyan 4 not only in GT back in the day, but also in Daima was just really cool. And this is the Kid Goku adaptation. It looks a little different. I know I just showed a photo of adult Goku with Super Saiyan 4. This is Kid Goku with Super Saiyan 4, and it's very much more like maroony, if you will. It's giving, I guess it's kind of similar to Super Saiyan God with the red hair. Insane. Now, just while we leave this up, what's cool about this is that I always said that this was the most pure form of Saiyan, and we get that in Dragon Ball GT as well. Now, when we have it in Daima, how Goku gets this ability is that the aforementioned Niva, so the Namekian, he like does his power thing again, and he goes into Goku's DNA and he awakens it. It's like my theory, my whole like thesis that I've been saying for my whole life just came true. It's like Super Saiyan 4 was in Goku's DNA this whole time. And I just think that was like the coolest thing for me to see, is because we just got a chance to see what I always thought, and that was the most pure form of Saiyan. And it didn't just end there. We got to see Goku like fight with this mode as a kid, which I thought was pretty cool as well, because I wasn't expecting him to have his own unique fight style. And we see him fighting Three-Eyed Goma right there. What was cool is that he was very ape-like, if that makes sense, which I loved. I like to see him more true to the Saiyans and, like, you know, the great apes. And the way he was moving was different than we've seen Goku before. His hands kind of expand and become more like I guess round. It was more like animalistic-y, or I guess I don't actually know the word for that. I tried my best. But with that being said, bestial is what I'm being told is the correct word. So it was very bestial, and because of that, I really enjoyed to see it. And I just think that the fan in me was just going crazy when I was able to see this as well. Now, we were also able to see adult Goku take this form, which I also thought looked awesome. Like seeing it there, just like the flowing hair, the maroon fur, the tail, like it was so cool. And I just think that this was a show that I didn't actually want. I didn't know I needed it until it happened. And I think the Dragon Ball fan in me, the little kid in me, always wanted Super Saiyan 4. And I don't think I could ever hate on the show, because it did the thing. Like you did the thing. It finally brought back Super Saiyan 4. And that's been my one ask my whole life. Like, I was born after Dragon Ball GT concluded, so I was able to watch this as a little kid on DVD. And that's all I wanted. All I wanted was Super Saiyan 4 to come back. And this show, it did that. And I think nothing will ever really beat that for me. Like, I hate to say it, but if we never see Super Saiyan 4 again, like, I'm okay with that. I'm happy. We brought it back. And I don't think anything thus far that I've seen in like modern day Dragon Ball compares. And that is something that I'll forever be grateful for, really and truly, like as a fan. I'm not trying to like get emotional here, but nothing comes close to that to me. Like, I don't care about the Tournament of Power. I don't care about Super 17 coming back. I don't care about Goku Black. I don't care about any of that. I just care about Super Saiyan 4. So I really enjoyed that. And I don't think, like I said, nothing in modern day Dragon Ball is really going to compare to that for me. Like I said, I did want to do just like a loose review, because again, the show's only been finished for a week. If I broke down each episode, we'd be here for like 5 hours, because there's 20 episodes. And I just want to do like a loose review. Again, there were some spoilers, but more or less you could still watch the show and tune in and kind of experience it for yourself. I just think this also says a lot about Akira Toriyama, the God rest his soul, but the mangaka of Dragon Ball. And we see him here. And it was just really sad when he died. I remember we did an episode. We did like a a GameCube brackets episode actually, and it was the same day that he passed away, or that was announced that he passed away, and it was like so hard because we couldn't pivot. Like we had a whole episode planned, and about like maybe 30 minutes before it was announced that he unfortunately died. So I remember feeling like a little, not like bad that we didn't do an episode on Dragon Ball, but like again, that's just how it happened. So I think Toriyama was able to give us a last piece of our childhood. And I say this because Dragon Ball Daima actually concluded on the 1-year anniversary of his death. So his official death was March 1st, 2024, and this ended on March 1st, 2025. So I just think it was written in the stars that we were going to get Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta in this new series that just so happened to finish on the 1-year anniversary of his passing there. So yeah, before I fully wrap it up, this had a lot of callbacks, and I think this is really cool to see because as much as like I wasn't for Daima, I love GT, and GT is very much like a key part of my childhood. And I think seeing Kid Goku again, even though I didn't want to see it with GT and I didn't want to see it with Daima, it just made me feel like a little kid again seeing this. So I overall was very satisfied with the show. I don't think that it could have been better, for lack of better words. Like the only thing that I maybe wanted to see was a fusion, but you don't need to see all that. Like, we don't need to see Gogeta. Like we had Goku, we got Super Saiyan 4. That's all we needed, and I just thought the callbacks were amazing. There's even another cool scene where Super Saiyan 4 Goku does the same like power up and blast that Goku does in 1989's opening of Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, overall it was a fantastic show. Not perfect by any means, had a lot of retcons, but we're not here to discuss what I didn't like about the show. It's just mainly what I liked, and just how happy I am that it did meet my childhood needs. I don't think me as an adult is going to rave about this show, but if I put on that little kid lens for a second, they definitely did something special with Dragon Ball Daima, and I could just tip my hat. I'm really happy that I was able to watch and enjoy, because really and truly, I went in with a negative mindset. And I think when you do that, I think this show actually teaches you a lesson. I think when you go into anything with a negative mindset, you're never really going to truly experience it for what it should be. And I think for me, that's my biggest regret with the show, because I didn't watch it week by week. I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. And then I saw some clips. I was like, ooh, this might be good. And then Vegeta went Super Saiyan 3, and then Goku went Super Saiyan 4. And I'm like, damn, if only I had a positive mindset going into this show, then I would have enjoyed it, and I would have saw it week by week, and I would have saw it live. And I just think that's something that, as Sonic would say, you got to live and learn. When you're in situations that you don't want to be in, or if you're presented with something that's not necessarily like ideal to your current situation, you just got to take it, and you just got to work with it, and you got to run with it. It's kind of funny that when you see Mewtwo in Pokemon, he essentially says the same thing to Mew. Mew's just there like going like Mew Mew, and then you see Mewtwo going, I get it now. It's not about one's life. It's about the situation that one makes with their life. And I'm like, damn, bro, like that kind of runs deep. So obviously I just butchered that quote. I was like paraphrasing there. But overall, yeah, honestly, like Dragon Ball Daima, in terms of what I wanted, actually was everything and more. We get a re-up Super Saiyan 4. We get a nice little short 20 episode series. And overall, I think it did good. So thank you, Toriyama, for giving us one last hurrah before you went away. So I really hope that going forward, we get more Super Saiyan 4. If we don't, I'm okay with that. But I also really hope we see the return of Dragon Ball Super, because we haven't had that in a while. So with that being said, I think that's going to do it for me today. Just want to say once again, thank you guys behind the scenes for being here. That was Kent, Carson, and Eldon. Thank you to Ryan for sticking around. And thank you to Evan this morning for helping me put this one together. So thank you guys. Cannot do without you guys. Yeah, that's all I got. So that was Screenshot today. Before I do go, stay safe out there, because this weather is it's too inconsistent. It's kind of inconsistent like Dragon Ball Super, if you ask me, but that's a topic of discussion for another day. So thank you guys so much. I've been Justin, and that was my thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.